A lot of people are convinced that the Guardian is the worst Nightfarer in the game, and although he is in need of some adjustments and changes, I truly believe he has a very high upside and ceiling as a character. I've played with this guy more than any other character in the game, and I did it because I really was trying to figure out what he does well and what he actually needs to get better, and I finally have figured it out. Now, there are some very glaring weaknesses about this character, and it is very easy to see why people just don't like him. The clunky dodge, lack of good damage, the skills that feel very niche or just outclassed by others, but when played correctly, he can be decent, and if you get some good RNG throughout your runs, he can be one of the best characters. Like seriously, some of my easiest Night Lord kills have come when playing with the Guardian. Now, starting off with his scalings, he has the most health and stamina in the game, albeit not by much. The Raider is only slightly behind, but the Guardian is designed to be this tanking character, mainly focused on blocking, hence him having the best for those stats. I do wish he did have an S scaling and stamina as well, because in this game, stamina cost is really high, and that also extends to blocking. It is way less viable in this game to use a shield and block entire boss combos, so making him actually have closer to 50 stamina would just make more sense, especially because he has the worst damaging stats by far. Abysmal synergy with spells, or anything that consumes FP for that matter, only a C scaling and dexterity, although it is a better C scaling than other characters that have the C scaling and dexterity, but yeah, unfortunately, he only gets a B in strength. So he is going to favor quality based weapons, but the thing is, even with quality weapons, his damage is only better than the Recluses and the Revenants. Like even an Iron Eye using a Halberd or a Great Spear does more damage than the Guardian using a Halberd or a Great Spear. Like if that ain't the biggest slap in the face for this character, I don't know what is. But speaking of the Halberds, the Guardian does in fact receive a unique moveset with them. Now the reason I said unique like that is because it gets pretty much the exact same moveset as the poking attack Halberds with a slightly different animation. Like the normal Halberd, Banished Knight Halberd, Dragon Halberd, Commander Standard, all these get those poking light attacks and the horizontal heavies, and the Guardian moveset is pretty much the exact same thing, but just worse, because it's slower for some reason, and I don't really know why. And the fact that you can't even benefit of other Halberd movesets if you wanted to, like the Knight Rider's Glaive with those fast heavy attacks, or the Guardian Sword Spear with those quick light attacks, you just don't get them, and it's just a massive downgrade. But the Guardian's moveset does one thing better, and thankfully it is for the most important attack that he has in the guard counter. It is faster than normal, and he also gets a fully charged variant, which I will get into more of that later. Like one of the things this character needs to have is this moveset extend to other weapon types like Great Spears. At least as having the fully charged guard counter variants, please FromSoft, make this happen. So being that his damage is worse compared to all the melee characters, and that his bulk is only the slightest bit better than the Raiders, his ability and relics are going to have to do some heavy carrying, and for the most part, they kind of do. The most useful part about his kit, and the only reason why you would want to play this character over the others, is because of his passive ability, Still Guard. If you don't care to play around this or play around guard counters, there is no reason to play him over characters like the Wilder and the Raider, unless you did want to have that support in multiplayer. Now, to activate this passive ability, you have to be holding block with a shield and click the dodge button while moving. And it does assume this stance that has you slow walk while doing this unique blocking animation, and this special block has you tank so many more attacks, it's ridiculous. It's 10 times better than regular blocking, and it has instant blocking frames too, and you can dodge while blocking, which is insane. Now, as I stated earlier, blocking in this game just sucks, even with the good shields, but with Still Guard, that is not the case. You can just block entire boss combos and then some, and that's pretty much the real power right there. He has an entire monopoly on shield-based builds, which extends to not having to learn boss attacks, and also to guard countering builds. And if you've ever made a guard countering build in Elden Ring, you would know exactly how powerful they can be. It is pretty comparable damage and stance damage to a charged heavy while just having a faster animation. Guard countering builds can do well with the Executor too, but he's limited to using a katana. Guard countering builds do especially well with larger and heavier weapons because the speed differences are not that great. And in fact, weapon types like great hammers can actually have faster guard counters than a great sword, or a great spear can have just as fast as a guard counter as a normal spear. And they're just going to have higher damage output and higher stance damage. Now for the Guardian, his main weapon is the halberd, so you're more likely to actually find halberds as well. And as I mentioned earlier, he does have a unique guard counter that is a slight bit better, but it's still not going to be as good as like a Great Spear guard counter unless you have it fully charged. Because yeah, you can fully charge these, which it does make it do a bit more damage and a bit more stance damage. Now the funny thing is, it only does more damage if you fully charge it at point blank range and hit with like your body as well. Because for some reason it actually does less damage when you hit with just the weapon, which is stupid. But the reason why I value the fully charged guard counter so much is because it covers amazing range. Like one of the only downsides of guard counters is that when you block, sometimes you can be knocked out of range. But like this pretty much mitigates one of its only weaknesses. Now, unfortunately, it's still on her halberd, so for like the same speed in guard counter, you can just use other weapons that will just do more damage, hence why I so badly want to be able to fully charge other guard counters. Like, this is pretty much all that he has going for him. Just like, let us charge all like the poking attack types of weapons so we can still at least benefit of shield poking too. Now, when it comes to the downsides of this passive ability, one, it drains stamina over time. Don't really know why it does that. I wouldn't really mind it as much if this character had an S-scaling in stamina though. Two, it doesn't really block elemental damage very well, nor does it block status effects. And three, also like the guard hitboxes don't really feel that much larger than normal. Like you're still just as likely to get hit by like these random AoEs as you would with like normal blocking. So I feel like that one of these three things should be changed, especially due to the fact that you have to click an additional button just to get into this stance. Now it still is very easy to activate, but there will be times you might just like aim in the wrong direction and that can get you hit. Like I do understand having it be its own stance due to how powerful it can be. Like if you could just block like this on demand, it might be a bit too good. And honestly, the fact that it forces you to walk is going to be one of the best things about it because you can pair it with all of these like walking AoE buffs, which I do wish they actually dropped more often with this character, but I'll talk about more of those later. But another weird gripe that I do have is like the fully charged guard counter doesn't really get any blocking frames, which is annoying as well. And every single time that you guard counter or heavy attack, it takes you out of the stance and you have to go back into the stance again. Okay, but moving on to his character skill, Whirlwind. This lifts up smaller enemies in the air. And that's about it. Like the damage ain't all there, doesn't really do shit to bosses that can't be staggered easily. It might be pretty good to use for like the final blow, I guess, but it is really great utility at stun locking groups of enemies, which honestly for a character skill, it does its job. I kind of wish there was something else there to make it good in boss fights, like having iframes, or being able to block or parry attacks with it, giving you a damage boost, damage negation boost, like anything really. And for his ultimate, Wings of Salvation, it's pretty good. It's a decent damaging AoE that can instantly revive allies. You can fully charge it upon landing on the ground to grant more iframes and boost allies' damage negation. Now you can just look at this and compare it to the Revenant's ultimate, and it's going to seem like it's just worse because Revenant's ultimate can revive at a much further distance, and with a Ghost Flame Relic, she can actually do more damage too, while buffing her spirit summons and temporarily making herself and allies immune to dying. But the Guardian does have a couple of other things going for it. The Guardian does actually stagger enemies and bosses unlike the Ghost Flame Explosion, and the ult always leaves you with like roughly 20% charged when used. It only fully depletes your ultimate when holding onto it. So if you just were to use this ult as like a reviving and a damaging tool, it essentially has like the fastest ultimate regen in the game. And on top of this, there are going to be some relics that can help it too, which you might as well just get into those. You can gain the ability to heal yourself and allies once using the ultimate, and you can hold on to it to actually heal for way more. Another character-specific relic, and the one that I do consider to be the most important, is the one that reflects a portion of damage received when the ability is activated. Being that the entire playstyle around this character is blocking and guard counter, like this having another form of damage that you get just by blocking is great. It does this like little AoE explosion every single time you block in this steel guard stance. Like it's just passive damage and stance damage over time. And combine this with all of those like walking buffs, you can kill enemies without even needing to attack. And that's not an exaggeration. His second most important character-specific relic is the increased duration of the skill. It makes his Whirlwind just like continuously spin, resulting in better stun lock potential and just way more damage. Now it is only going to do more damage when you hit with like most of the attack, and it's only like roughly 30% more damage as well. And you can no longer send enemies flying in the air, but the ability to like immobilize mobs for like a long period of time, especially for those banished knights, I think is like a must-have. It'll make yours and your teammates' lives a lot easier. His last character-specific relic is creating a Whirlwind on a charged heavy attack. Now, if the Halberd charged heavy attack was quick and actually good, then sure, I would run this. But I hardly even use the charged heavy outside of like killing trash mobs, because like the guard counters are going to be the best source of your damage. Like if there is going to be like a combination of good perks that you have this alongside with, then sure, go ahead, run it, but it wouldn't be that high of a priority for me. Now when it comes to the other relics that are not character specific, the most important one for multiplayer would be taking aggro while blocking. Enemies, unfortunately, are not just going to magnet to your shield, so you're going to need this relic for multiplayer if you did want to help tank. Now, the most important ones outside of that, though, are going to be your boosting to guard counter damage. And thankfully, there is 2 relics for this. There is the basic one that gives you a 10% damage boost, and the other one is actually based on your health and can give up to 30% more damage if you are at max HP. And the game literally gives you this perk as a part of a boss relic from the Dark Drift Knights, which also comes with like the best stamina boost that you can get in a relic too. Other relics that could be good would be like getting a damage boost when having 3 or more halberds equipped. It is just 10% more damage, but you need all the help you can get when playing this guy. Taking damage boost your damage could be pretty decent, but it doesn't work when blocking physical attacks though, so it'd only really be useful when you're blocking elemental damage, which every Night Lord boss basically does anyway. Obviously, like the solid staple options that you can never go wrong with, like the partial HP restoration on post-damaging attacks, and the damage on Evergel clears as well is really good. Now, in terms of like the in-game buffs, basically anything for survivability, health, better healing, better dodging, more stamina so you can block. The blocking grants damage negation is extremely important, as is just like getting better guard boost. But in terms of the damage in-game buffs, I would always prioritize the walking buffs. Every time you use the passive, you begin to slow walk, and you can just block while doing damage. The Wraiths while walking is like the best one that you can find, so look out for that. It's only going to be on weapons though. Flame of Frenzy and the Rain of Stars are both solid too. The Flame Pillars kind of suck though. And also anything that can actually help boost your guard counters, thrusting counterattacks, stance damage, critical attacks, all those are really good as well. Okay, so overall thoughts is that this character is really good when you spec into a guard counter build and commit to using the shield. If you try to play it any other way, it's gonna be shit because his dodge sucks, his damage sucks, and the overall kit can be underwhelming. But with how many guard counter buffs you can gain, and with how this guy pretty much just owns all guard countering playstyles, he has a very good use. Now, unfortunately, the guard counter playstyle can make fights drag out too long, and in a game where speed is heavily incentivized, that can be a downside, and in groups, this playstyle performs even worse. But thankfully, the rest of its kit can make up for it in multiplayer, so you don't necessarily need to have like a good build to be able to play the support role. But even though you can gather a selection of powerful buffs to steamroll with this guy, it's just not going to be as consistent, and this is too RNG heavy. So things that I would like to see get changed with this character is 1, let us gain fully charged guard counters from more weapon types, specifically things like Great Spears. Also, maybe let the passive have like another ability, maybe similar to the Raiders. Like with the Raider, when you take a whole bunch of damage, you can actually gain like a fully charged attack for the skill. It could work like that. Like if you block 1,000 damage, then your next guard counter can do this big high damaging AoE. Also, like let us block status effects and elemental damage a bit better. Guard counter and walking buffs also just need to drop more often with this character. Maybe give his character skill some iframes, and maybe, just maybe, just give him like a slightly bit better strength and stamina scaling to help separate him from the other characters as like a well-defined tanking character with a quality scaling. Or just don't do any of those things and just give him the ability to deflect with any weapon. That would instantly be S tier. But anyway, that's now done and completed. As always, let me know what your opinions are down in the comments below. We only have one more character guide left, and that is going to be for the Recluse. So definitely do subscribe for that if you haven't already. But tomorrow or the day after, I will actually do a solo guide for this character. We're just going to take him into a game, do a run, and you guys can see how well he can perform. Anyway, catch you guys in the next. See ya.